So a bit about myself. When I started playing drums when I was 15. And when I finished school, I joined the Australian Army Band as a musician, and I did 7 years full time. And we did, everything from concert band to marching band, rock band, and big band, small group jazz, that kind of thing. And I've always been kind of okay at brushes. And I mean, to cut a long story short, there was a few years ago when I had some students ask me to teach them how to play brushes, and my response to them was, well, I'll show you maybe one or two patterns, then I don't know, you probably have to figure out the rest yourself. And then that made me remember that that's the exact response I got from my first drum teacher, and I thought, hang on a sec, there's something wrong here. There's something wrong with like the way brushes have been taught, because it's kind of like a dark art or like a lost art form. And so I kind of went on this journey to figure out how to play brushes in a way that would allow me to play anything that, any idea I had in my head. So I spent a good 12 months just playing brushes. I didn't pick up the sticks once, every day sort of playing brushes. And I came up with this method of applying all the lateral strokes, to apply it to any groove, any solo idea, feel, improvisational vocabulary I had in my head. And I have this method of playing anything in my head pretty much with brushes without getting crossed over or without getting stuck. So I'm on a mission to share my method with as many people as possible, because I'm really passionate about brush education. So I'm really big on lateral strokes. So how about I show you the very first brush pattern I ever learned, and it's probably very similar to a lot of drummers out there, is a swing pattern where the left hand displays circles and the right hand plays the swing pattern with vertical strokes. Sounds something like this. Is that familiar, most of you guys? Yeah, cool. So what I discovered with my playing when I would use that pattern is I'd be fine for a while, but then when I go to play a fill, my brushes would cross over and crash into each other. And I realized that was because of this vertical stroke. Like in this pattern, it inherently has, for me, a mistake in it. This crossed over position didn't really work for me. And also the right hand was all vertical strokes, and I'm all about lateral strokes. If you watch any videos of Jeff Hamilton speaking about brushes, he's all about lateral strokes. You get a fatter sound. And also, brushes are not sticks. So if you want to really gain some different sounds with brushes, you have to approach them differently to how you approach sticks. All right, so basically with the swing pattern, I came up with a pattern where everything was lateral strokes, where the right hand was playing outward strokes. All right, so that's pretty much what I'm going to get you guys to learn today, along with hopefully some other things if we have time. So firstly, let me just pin myself. All right, cool. Firstly, what I want everyone to do, if you've hopefully got brushes and something to play on, to develop this lateral motion, I want you to have your hand out in front without the brush, and we're simply just going to move our forearm side to side. And try to keep your wrist straight. I've found with my playing, anytime I use the wrist, I end up with uncontrolled motions with the brushes, and it can sort of do damage to joints. So I'm all about arm and finger technique. All right, so you'll notice that I'm kind of sort of like a wave with my hand. The wrist is moving a little bit, and also the fingers, closed, open, closed, open, closed, open, closed, open. So if you imagine that you have a paintbrush in your hand and you've got a piece of wood in front of you and you're painting it from side to side, that's the kind of motion we're going for. Alright, so I'm still using the same motion, arm and fingers. Now I'm going to put the brush on the head and continue that. So you'll notice that my forearm and wrist are pretty locked in. I'm not doing this motion. It's all in the arm and releasing with the fingers. I'll also point out that I'm holding the brush in French grip. That allows the brush to rotate laterally. If you hold it in German grip, to play sidewards motions, lateral strokes, you have to utilize your wrist. And I like to avoid that. So thumb on top. Allow the brush to come away from your fingers, side to side. All right, so now the left hand is a little bit different. I suppose firstly I'll say that with sticks I'm traditionally a matched player with sticks, but I found that with brushes traditional grip works a lot better for me, and that's because it allows for easier side-to-side motion with the use of the fingers. So a lot of, as I said before with my right hand, a lot of my motion comes from the fingers opening and closing along with arm movements. The wrist doesn't really come into it. So what I see a lot of my students do when they're first playing with brushes, I know you can't see my whole hand, my whole arm, sorry, but they utilize their whole arm by moving back and forward. So it's like they're using their elbow and arm coming away from their body. What I like to do is keep my elbow kind of like naturally resting by the side of my body. Imagine my elbows there at the side of my body. And I'm moving pretty much from the forearm with the addition of fingers. All right, so we don't want to see this motion. It's not a very efficient use of energy. Have any more people coming in? Cool. All right, so what we're going to do, there's a bit involved with the left-hand sweeps. So what we're going to do is break it down bit by bit. So we'll start with the brush at the bottom right-hand side, or just the right side of the drum. Doesn't really matter too much at the moment. And the grip is going to be closed, so closed fingers. Now, just using our arm, we're going to move to the left. Lift it off, place it back down. Playing really light strokes. From this view. So no wrist movement, no finger movement at this stage. So just moving out to the left. All right, so now let's move on to the inward stroke. Oh, sorry, before I move on, hopefully you notice that I'm not putting any downwards pressure on the brush. If we do that, then that creates a thicker and louder sound, which is obviously useful for when we want to play louder and thicker sounds, but it's a good place to start at the most lightest sound. So just pretty much the tip of the wires. Okay, so now the inward stroke, it starts with this position. So our hands are pretty much extended straight, and just with our arm again, just like a windscreen wiper, we're moving to the right. Lift it off, put it back down, lift it off. So just a note, if we have our hand curled like that, you run the risk of, if you have a very coarse head like mine, you run the risk of the brushes catching like that. So two things: you want to keep your brush angle very low to the drum and extend it out with your fingers. No downwards pressure on the brush, just very lightly. All right, so now we're going to join these two movements. So let's start by playing outwards, then inwards, and then we'll reset. So we start with the brush wires on the bottom right with the fingers closed, and we move outwards, and then we extend our fingers. So at the moment it's very kind of robotic. So out, extend, in, and reset. Out, extend, in, reset, curled fingers. Out, extend, in, reset. Out, extend, in, reset. All right, so now let's do the inwards to the outwards. So start with extended fingers. First movement. Second movement is we curl and then move to the left. Reset. Extended, move arm, curl, move to the left. All right, so now we're going to join all of that together, and we're really going to emphasize all those movements, still stay quite robotic. All right, so outwards, extend, inwards, curl. Outwards, extend, inwards, curl. Outwards, extend, inwards, curl. All right, so it sounds very jarring and quite robotic, as I said. So now we're going to smooth out the extend and curl parts. We're aiming for a consistent sound here without any bumps. Extend, curl, extend, curl. All right, and one important note with this one, again, same as the right hand, the brush is literally just sitting on the crook of my thumb there. I'm not putting any downwards pressure, so it should just be the very tips of the wires on the head. Okay, so that's our right hand and left hand basic techniques separated. Now we're going to put them together to create a quarter note groove. And this quarter note groove is one of my 4 core techniques. It's basically a template or a framework to put any groove ideas or eventually some improvisational ideas upon. There's so many things you can do just from this very basic or simple movement. Okay, so so I've got a thing here. It's just a head I cut out with what I call train tracks. Okay, so the idea with this is our right hand is designated 2 tracks. It has a bottom track and a top track that both go from the bottom left to the top right. All right, so just think about cutting the drum in half, and then there's the bottom side of it and the top side of it. The left hand is designated this track to the left side of the drum, going from top left to bottom right. That's the right hand, left hand, sorry, and the right hand. All right, so these train track patterns are designed to keep your hands out of the way of each other, to avoid these crashes as best as possible. All right, so what we're going to do with our right hand, we're going to start by playing outward sweeps on the bottom, lift, outward sweeps on the top, lift, outward sweeps on the bottom, lift, outward sweeps on the top, lift. No downwards pressure, just very lightly. And just rely on your arm for the movement, not wrist. Don't want to see any of that. So as you can see, from my elbow to the very tip of the brush, it's a straight line. That's what I'm aiming for. All right, now the left hand, starts at the top left-hand corner. We play inward stroke and outward stroke, and we just repeat that, but the left hand doesn't lift off the head. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now to put that together, it looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'll take this head off. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's play that pattern with I'll just put a funk track on. So this is at 80 beats a minute. Just playing quarters, nothing else. Okay, so now, how's everyone going? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs medium. Hey Dion, thanks for joining us. All right, so let's move on. So as I said before, that's a very simple framework that we can put many things on, many grooves, and eventually some fill ideas or improvisational kind of vocabulary. So we're going to take that movement. We're going to take that movement and turn it into a swing pattern, kind of what I talked about before. So put these tracks back on. That looks good. All right, so pretty much the only thing that's different with the swing pattern compared to our quarter note pattern is obviously the skip beat of the swing pattern. So it's still bottom track, top track, bottom, top, bottom on 1, top on 2, bottom on 3, top on 4. And as you know, there's a skip beat on the after beats 2 and 4. So the way we play that is an inward sweep with the right hand on the bottom track. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Might put a click on. 3, 4. All right, so adding the left hand in, left hand exactly the same as before, in on beats 1 and 3, out on beats 2 and 4. And remember this, the finger closed on the outs and the finger extended on the ins, and pretty much a sidewards wiper kind of motion with the forearm. So putting that together, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool, let's push it 20 beats, 60. 3, 4, 1. So if we just focus on the right hand, it's not this. It's not that wrist movement. It's arm. So on beats 2 and 4, after the outward stroke on the top track, what you want to do is release the brush handle away from your palm ever so slightly. So that will help us prepare for the inwards skip beat. And you can do that just by closing your fingers and a little bit of the arm. And then arm for the out. So arm, release, fingers, arm, release, fingers, arm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 1. Release. 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 Fingers. Fingers. Cool, let's bump it up 20 beats. 1, 3, 4. 1. Bump it up 20 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's speed that up and let's play it with a backing track this time at 112. So this is like a shuffle blues backing track, but let's just play the swing beat. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, let's change this swing pattern slightly. So that was kind of like a 4 feel or a shuffle feel. Let's play a 2 feel now. So my idea of two feels is a little bit more of an accent on beats 2 and 4, and that's added, and the hi-hat adds to that as well with the foot. Pardon me. And obviously kick on 1 and 3. So the way we play a accent, it's still this same outwards motion, but it's like it's a staccato stroke across the head. That's what I call an angled tap. So instead of a straight down tap, angled. So if you have a listen to the difference, I'll play 4 of each. So it has a slightly less attack to the sound, and it's a little bit fatter. It uses the sweeping sound of the brush. So that's kind of what I go for. All right, so we're doing that on beats 2 and 4 now, and then the remainder of the beats are the same. So. Now it's not with the wrist. It's like the motion of a frisbee. where you've got the frisbee in your hand without the wrist extension. Like imagine that there was no joint here. It's basically that. You're opening your fingers up, you're releasing your fingers. That kind of motion. Because what we don't want to do is move your arm all the way over. So start from the left, and just letting the brush bounce off the head. All right, so all right, so that's 2 feel. For a 4 feel, if it's a little bit more sort of contemporary jazz or small group jazz with a heavy, walking bass, you want a little bit more emphasis on the quarter notes and maybe a little bit less on the skip beat. A little bit heavier, all right, so it's kind of like the difference between to this. All right, so let's play 4 bars of each. 4 bars of 2 feel first, then 4 bars of the 4 feel. We'll do it with a click, 80. All right, 2 feel for 4 bars. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 feel. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 feel. 1, 2, 4. All right, let's go. Let's bump it up by 30 beats. See how we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 3, 4. 4 feel. 1, 2. Okay, let's play this with a backing track. 136. So this is 8 bars of the 2 feel and then 8 bars of the 4 feel, and that just loops. 1, 2, ready, go. 5. 8, 2, ready, go. 1, All right. How's everyone going? All thumbs up. Fantastic. All right, cool. I just wanted to show you one more thing, and that's how to play what I call a 3-note cell, or it's kind of like a sticking cell, like if you're thinking Gary Chaffee ideas, but applying it to brushes. So this sticking cell is right, right, left, and we're going to play them first as triplets and then as 8th notes. So it's basically, so the right, right is an inwards, then outwards, and they're both bouncing off, like that. So in, out, and then the left hand, it's kind of like a little accent, all inwards. So it's like what we were doing before with the small circles, except there's a little bit of an accent. So if you're looking from this angle, so I'm putting downwards pressure this time on the brush with my top 2 fingers. All right, so right, right, left. Let's go this angle. Let's do this with a click. On triplets. 1, 2, 3, right, right, left. Right, right, left, right, right, left. In, out, left, in, out, left, in, out, left. Cool. Let's go faster. 2, 3, 4. And let's go 20 beats faster. 2, ready, go. So you notice my right hand's really light. Not putting any downwards pressure into it. All right, so now what we're going to do is play the swing groove 3 times, and we'll use that as a fill. Now there's just one little thing we need to pay attention to, and that's transitioning into the fill. So after beats 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, we don't play the skip beat inwards. The right hand pauses to the outside of the drum in preparation for beat 1. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then to get back into the swing beat, it's just kind of like you do this. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Let's try that with a click. We'll just do 1 bar of the swing groove, 1 bar of the fill. 2, 3, 4, 1. Cool, let's take it faster. Take the triplets off. 1, 2, 3, go. Cool, let's take it faster and we'll play 3 bars of the swing groove, 1 bar of the fill. 1, 2, 3, go. 2, 3, here we go. 3, here we go. All right, so turn that off. Obviously with swing music, we don't do that, you know, a 4-bar pattern where there's a triplet fill at the end of the bar. I'm sure you guys will understand that this is just a process of working a new idea into our practice in the hopes that when we're on the gig we can, you know, pull it off without having to think about it. All right, so now let's take this 3-bar cell and play it as 8th notes, but we're just going to do it for 2 bars, then we'll have 1 bar rest. Let's take it a bit slower. So it's going to go like this, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Repeat, ready, go. 1. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. 2, 3, 4. All right, so because it ends with that outward stroke with the right hand, that leads really nicely into our quarter note feel. So 1, 2, 3, do 2 bars of it. 2, 2, 3, 4, and in, out. 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 3, go. 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's try that together. Let's go a little bit faster. 1, and 3, and 4. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1. Here we go. And let's go a little bit faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's pretty much all I wanted to show